forge a society that is colorblind and merit-based.
Hi Mario, hi Syria. How are you guys?
Good. How are you?
Wonderful. So, what questions do we have today?
Yeah, absolutely. So our first featured question, they ask, how is it that a 26-year-old gets approved for EB1A while a highly experienced professional earning over $1 million a year is rejected? Isn't that contradictory? If so, what does the USCIS actually mean by sustained national or international acclaim, and how is it supposed to be proven?
Wonderful. I think. I mean, let me. I think it's a beautiful question. I would say that, but it emerges from a lot of misconceptions and from the position of ignorance, which is in one way good also. Actually, that because we can start from the scratch here. That what EB1A actually means. Let's take a first. Let us, and as an analogy, let us take a case of even Nobel prizes. We have had people who were 15-year-olds or even 21, 22-year-olds who got Nobel Prize. Please understand that. So it's a matter of your work and its impact, which is more important, even when it comes to EB1A. That's the first part here. Now, number two is again a misconception that age and experience or money that you are earning matters. I have always taken a position that, in fact, EB1A is that extraordinary ability when you are stripped of everything what you think you have as a material possession, your degrees, your jobs or your money. Where do you stand? And where do you stand is what is left behind is that extraordinary ability, actually. Now, having said this, in a very practical terms, EB1A is not a function of the job that you do or the money that you make. And that's the whole challenge here. What it matters is the impact. Now comes the next question is what is meant by sustained acclaim? Now, please understand that sustained acclaim is not a function of, let's say, only time, but it is a function of the impact that you have created because of your work. Now, let's take an example. Let's say during COVID, let's say somebody has created a COVID vaccine, okay, and applied for EB1A the very next day, okay. Now the COVID vaccine. So would you say that, and the person could be 26-year-old or 50-year-old or 40-year-old, may not be earning much also. Let's put it that way. Okay. We even had a 28, 29-year-old earning only 60K and getting EB1A. But at the same time, we have also seen, and the question correctly points out that somebody earning $1 million has not been able to get command EB1A. Because again, it's a matter of impact that you create. Sustained acclaim is not a function of temporal aspect, which is time. It is a function of a knowledge that is acquired by virtue of years and years of training that it takes you to achieve that success, actually. And also, so one function is knowledge, because you don't become an expert in certain things overnight. For example, somebody making a COVID vaccine, for example, somebody becoming a rocket scientist. You don't become a rocket scientist by passing out of a school or just 5 years experience somebody teaches you. You become that person of excellence by virtue of your continuous work. That is also a sustained acclaim. Sustained acclaim is not a function of applause. That how many people are clapping for you, how many people are happy saying what you are, is not about your awards, not about in fact, everything is stripped away. Would your work still remain? And last and most important thing is that when we talk about a temporal aspect, it is not about only the past, it is also the future. If somebody creates something today and it can be deemed to be or kind of exist perpetually, even after the person is gone, that is a sustained acclaim. The acclaim, I think the word is a little misnomer because it's not about sustained acclaim in terms of applause, it's a sustained impact. So I would in fact like people to read the word instead of sustained acclaim to be read as, in the context of whole EB1A, please read it as sustained impact. So it becomes past, present, future, the knowledge that you have done, and then the temporal aspect of it. So there are three dimensions of success for your EB1A in that sense for sustained acclaim. And no matter what you do, if you have these three dimensions are very strong, you would command EB1A and you would get your EB1A. Okay? So that's how this whole, why is it that 26-year-old getting approved for EB1A while a highly experienced professional earning even $1 million is not getting it, because EB1A is not about entitlement also. Because many people believe I have done this, so I should be getting it. No, it doesn't work like this. So I think that's the whole question here. Okay, so let's move to the next question.
Of course. So the next question is, how do you respond strategically to an RFE without overcorrecting?
Exactly. I mean, there are straight questions and straight answers. In RFA, I mean, normally what I would have seen is that I have been very straight. Some evidences they are requiring. When the criteria are not established, which are less than 3, USCIS would issue you an RFE. Otherwise, you would get annoyed actually here. So best way to respond to that is that what is being asked. Basically, I would see an RFE, and most of the RFEs, what we have seen is that is a question or sort of a response from USCIS on your petition asking that help us to help you. It's a request for evidence, and there is no point in, we're talking about is overcorrecting. There is no question of any overcorrecting. But remember one thing, in an RFE, you cannot give questions or responses which, or any evidences which are created after your, petition was submitted. So you have to, it has to be within the time frame of prior to the petition. All the events should have happened before the evidence, your petition was filed. So just remember that. It's a pretty straightforward question, and I would like people to look at it from a very straightforward perspective. Okay, so let's move to the next.
Yeah, absolutely. So our next question, they ask, what mistakes do candidates make when explaining their own achievements, working on their own petition?
I mean, they are focused more on inward part of their company, what they are doing it. That's what we have seen actually. Achievements is not about what you have done, is about the impact that you have created. I mean, ask after every initiative, what you say, what you are putting in, ask yourself a question, so what? How many people got impacted by this particular job? Oh, I did a membership. I got a British Council membership. I got IEEE membership. So what? How many people got impacted because of this? And next is what if? What if would have happened if you were not a member? If nothing would have changed, nothing, then it is of no consequence for your EB1A. I think they are talking about into self-glorification. There is a marked difference between demonstrating something which is based on self-glorification versus what is the impact that you have created. I hope it's a pretty straightforward. I don't want to elaborate this on too much on this, but yes, it makes. I think it's limited only to that. Okay, so let's move to the next question.
Yes, the next question is, what signals make an adjudicator subconsciously view a case as elite versus inflated?
I like this question because it's a very, again, the question here is that how it's since it is an adjudication, it to some extent people want to believe that it is subjective, and I do not want to deny that, but subjectivity doesn't mean absurdity. Let's also understand subjectivity is always based on certain predefined parameters, guidelines, policy manual based on which an adjudicator would do it. But I think the question is much deeper, that subconsciously, how would somebody view the case as elite or inflated? The question is that it is neatly presented, evidences are neat, it's very well organized. What you are talking about being a person of an extraordinary caliber. So your petition, your documentation, your language, the semantics should also reflect a person of an person of an extraordinary ability. That's number one. I mean, I've seen people even writing in petition, genders are wrong, he, she has been wrong. I've seen where somebody else's name has been included in the petition. People have not read their own petition. So these kind of things are unacceptable totally, actually. The second would be, and if it's one of the most difficult things, I can tell you this, is can your petition or does your petition reflect your own expertise into it? What does it mean? We had somebody as a designer applying for EB1A, the petition itself was very beautifully designed. So that reflects your own persona, your own characteristics, and your own expertise is embodied into the petition itself, actually. If you can take it to that level, if somebody says, I'm an engineer, so you need to have engineered your petition in a way that makes people understand. And also, it should be easy to read. Number one, you can't use hyperbolic language. Okay? Now, this is something elite does not mean premium here, actually. Elite means something which fits the regulatory requirement. As simple as that. I mean, are there two? And last and most important thing is your petition. And nowadays should be crisp and granular and should not be on the legal crutches. And this is something very interesting. You can't a weak petition, okay, or weak petition in a sense, weak profile. Let's put it that way. A weak profile on a strong legal doctrines and legal crutches is not going to helpful for you. A strong profile, however, but with even no legal crutches may help you. Let's understand that. And a strong profile with strong legal crutches will make USIS difficult to refuse you. It will become inevitable case, actually. Let's understand that. So, and obviously weak profile with no legal has no relevance, actually. So people, I think one of the biggest things what we have seen, and after having spoken to a couple of USCIS adjudicators and something, is that it has to be a clean petition in a bottom. And I have already given you a definition of what constitutes a clean petition. And I've seen the best of the best people committing these kind of mistakes where genders are wrong or things are not presented in an optimal manner. So I would always urge you to do that. So guys, if you have more questions, please let us know. We'll be happy to help you as we move towards the next question. Keep writing to us and we'll be happy. And if you want to join next week program, please let us know. Keep writing to us. So let's move to the next question.
Absolutely. So I think this one kind of piggybacks perfectly into what you were saying previously, but essentially they ask, what types of wording tends to trigger closer scrutiny from officers?
I think it's about hyperbolic tone and language, actually. Okay. I mean, somebody writing something in a very absurd way. I mean, just because you did something in a very, hyperbolic tone should be totally avoided in all possible manners. People at times tend to don't use adjectives. He was a well-rounded person. Let me try to show you something from an actual successful petition. I think I will read out to you, and I think that will offer a more clarity. Okay, now let me kind of tell you something. There is something known as a speech of precision which should be there in every petition. And when we are talking of a language, actually. Now, I think this is about somebody who contributed to a curriculum development, actually, and there is a letter of recommendation here. The letter actually said that his contribution to our STEM education demonstrates exactly the kind of extraordinary and talent and impact that we were looking for. This is something. This may not be hyperbolic in that sense. I'm again repeating. What does it say? It says that his contribution to our STEM education demonstrate exactly the kind of extraordinary talent and impact. Now, this may not be the right language for the purpose of EB1A. When we talk about speech of precision, okay, it has to be, there is something called as an irreversible field level consequence. Now, it should be like this. His contributions present a structural redefinition of our STEM infrastructure and curriculum. He or she, name of the person, applied the same, put that name of the expertise. Okay. He used to safeguard the nation's largest financial institutions, to safeguard the nation's, to rescue our 20-year-old education program from imminent collapse. Now, in one sentence, we have answered what, when, how, where, and why. We have already answered this in one simple sentence, rather than simply saying that his contribution to the STEM education demonstrate exactly the kind of extraordinary. Don't use just a regulatory language because it suits you. There is something called as a speech of precision that needs to be there. And in fact, speech of precision is useful. It's like how you talk also, actually. People who are truly extraordinary would talk like this. They would be more focused, they would be more specific. I mean, you would hardly see a person. I mean, this is, of course, more from a personal coaching or a life coaching perspective, but a person who is truly extraordinary would not make loose comments, as we say. Oh, I'm very tired. Would not say. Somebody would be more specific, speech of precision. In your day-to-day life, you'll need to have that approach to be more focused, specific, and granular. Once you are there, I think that's why I mentioned earlier that the petition should reflect your character, your expertise. And this is the way it happens actually. That can they see a person by virtue of the documentation it is in front of them? Can the USCIS adjudicator feel that the person is there in front of them? If you can create that kind of a person, let's take a case of a beautiful novel. Somebody who writes a beautiful novel, when you read a storybook, you actually feel that the scene is happening in front of you, isn't it? Now that's the way a good petition should look like, that you are able to visualize. So similarly, the adjudicator should be able to visualize that person sitting in front of them. That, since we are talking about wording, that is important. And so let's take the last question for the day today, guys, before we move on to the next week. And next week, we'll again look for more questions. So let's take the last question.
Absolutely. So the last question is, how do you show top percentage standing without formal rankings?
Beautiful question. Beautiful. Because in every field, it changes. Every field, it changes. And what is the field also, it matters. What is the expertise that matters actually? We had one person working as a software performance tester for healthcare industry. The niche expertise was beautifully defined. And when we asked this person, okay, fine, what is your, where do you think you stand in the whole country, in the whole world about that? He said around 500 to 600. I said, what it would take to make you competent? Say in top 50. He said, no. I said, how do you define, how would somebody who is expert in your field would define success metrics? Do you know the success metrics in your own field? If you are able to do that, then many people don't even know what are the success metrics in your own field. If I say that I'm EB1A coach, what are the good success metrics for that? And forget the knowledge part of it. Even at a point, I know what are the problems that people are facing right now in my field of expertise? Forget the recognitions. You don't become expert by applause. You become expert because you are solving problems. So I think one of the best answers that I can give for this question is that what is the level of problem that you have solved in your field, which everybody in your people in your expertise were dealing with, and they did not have answers. Can you list down those problems? And what was the unique? What is it tried before? Was it something? So if you can answer these questions, and the methodology that you use, which was, why do you think that methodology no one did that before? So if you are able to do that, I think that's wonderful. So there is no rocket science, guys. I mean, I think one of the biggest things in EB1A process that everybody misses out, I would say, that is truly being an expert in your field. That it is not about law, it is not about Mukherjee, it is not about Kazarian, it's not about those cases. It's about you truly being arrived. Are you still in a progress, or have you arrived? EB1A is for people who have arrived. Let's understand that. It's not for people who are still into their journeys. So guys, that's all for the Saturday. Have a wonderful weekend. And if you have more questions, please reach out to Mario or Syria or me, and I will be more than happy to help you guys. And if you want to join the Next League program, also reach out to us. The link will be given below in the comment section. So have a wonderful day. Bye-bye. Thank you for joining us today. If you have any further questions or need personalized guidance, please reach out to us. We are here to help you every step of the way in your journey towards achieving your American dream. Let's connect and make it happen together.